What better way to convey a depressing message than with uplifting and happy music? Let's dive in. I'll Be Your Girl by the Decemberists. So the Decemberists are a pretty well-known indie band. I believe they're from Portland, US. They were more of a folk indie band that was using a lot of progressive rock tendencies, and that's why I really took a shine to them. They went from those storytelling aspects of the picturesque and the Crane Wife into such a like a rock opera of the hazards of love. And then we got the Oh What a Beautiful World, Oh What a Horrible World, or something along those lines, the latest album that they put out prior to this. I did not connect with that guy at all. I felt like it was a major step backwards for the band. So I'll Be Your Girl, I wasn't as excited for I'll Be Your Girl as I have been all their other past releases, just knowing what I was getting in for. But I'll Be Your Girl did the right thing in scaling some things back and putting more things onto the forefront. It is a little bit more optimistic, and there's a much more prominent synthesized throwback to like the 80s synth pop. From the opening song, we kind of hear where the band is going with Once in My Life, where the main theme of this is everything is bad, everything is wrong, and just for once in my life I wish something would go my way. On the one hand, it does feel a little patronizing, it does feel a little bit pretentious. The main songwriter, Colin Malloy, who I love and adore within his storytelling abilities, he is a cis white male, and by constantly saying, oh, why doesn't anything go right with me, it just reminds me of those teenagers who are just like, oh, my life is so bad, I'm living in middle America where I've got all this opportunity and it's just so bad because it's not immediately given to me. I'm like, dude, maybe you'll want to check yourself a little bit. I understand the general theme of, you know, the political climate right now. You also need to kind of be a little bit on the subtle side because they are not being subtle on this album. In one sense, it's nice that they're being so forward and so forthright about what they're singing about and where their ideologies lay, because they were never one to shy away from that. There's this song, Once in My Life. There's Everything is Awful. I love Everything is Awful. It's a fun track. It's a happy-go-lucky by just saying, you know, everything is awful. And the song itself, much like Once in My Life, they don't really pose any solutions. It's just a lamenting of their emotions. And I'm like, okay, we understand the frustration. We're all in this together. I'm feeling it too. What are we going to do about it? And I feel like this album doesn't really pose too many solutions there. It's mainly just, yeah, everything is awful. Once in my life, we all die young, which is basically like, yeah, our ideologies are crap once we get into the later part of our life. And it's presented in kind of that cheering song that I hear at a lot of hockey games, which really showcases kind of the overall theme of this album, which is we're presenting all these very heavy-handed messages in a very fluffy and like who even cares kind of a presentation. And some songs, and I kind of want to get these out of the way right from the get-go, are not necessarily throwaway songs because they're still quite nice and still quite presentable. Cutting Stone being one of those, as well as Sucker's Prayer. Like these, and even to a certain extent, I'll Be Your Girl, these three songs just don't really do too much more. They're serviceable, but they don't really add too much to the narrative of the overall album. Yeah, they just didn't really land too well with me, and it feels like songs that they had already written. Now, one song that I do want to talk about is Severed. I love that. Now, this is where I'm talking about that synthesizer being prominent. I mean, it starts off with it very prominent on there. What I love about this is the root of the synthesizer is in a 5-note sequence in a 4/4 time. So it's constantly evolving and constantly kind of missing the beat slightly while still kind of moving us forward. I really enjoy that presentation.
You all severed. I alone am the answer. I alone.
And it has almost like a little bit of a Western feel to it, like something that was from like a spaghetti Western. Once it's kind of laid down, they don't really go too far with it. It does build a little bit near the end, which is kind of the motif that we have from that Western feel. But I felt like it didn't really do too much in the overall concept of that 5-note sequence in a 4/4 time. Another song that I really want to call out before I start gushing about the tracks that I completely love is Tripping Along. It's one of those rare slow songs that I really enjoy. I love the overall story of it. I love the intimate quality that Colin brings to it, because it's mainly just him on the guitar. And this is one of those few times where I felt like those more lamenting moments and raging against the current climate that we have found ourselves in kind of works to its advantage, as opposed to being that dichotomy of like lyrical content and the message that they want to get across and the musical presentation. This is one of those few instances on this album where they actually meet. And the best part is, it leads me into my two favorite songs, which is Your Ghost and Everything Is Awful. Now, I've already talked about Everything Is Awful, but I want to talk about Your Ghost. And Your Ghost has that same kind of spaghetti western vibe that Severed did, but in a much more energetic way. The only drawback is how short this track is. It's the shortest track, being not even 3 minutes long. And I was just hoping for a little bit more for this track. Like, I hope that they would build it up and really play it through, but they just kind of left it where it sat. So that was a little bit of a drawback on that.
Oh, you go.
I think the only song that I haven't talked about is the longest song on here, the 8-minute track of Rusalka, and Wild Rushes. And this track blends the two ideologies of the Decemberists very, very well. And it's essentially kind of two tracks that they forgot to break, which I am all for. They've done similar things in the past. I wish that they had stretched this out, though. The first half of the song is a very subdued and very intimate part, and the second one is much more built up, a little bit more on the energetic side. It has a lot more ebb and flow in it. The rest of the band comes in to fill it out. It comes into the play out, and I was really hoping that they really stretched that out and really made something of it, akin to, say, The Crane Wife or The Island, and really develop something meaty and like delicious. And I don't want to say it falls short, it's just that I could see where it could have gone. Overall, this was a definite improvement from their last album of What a Terrible World, What a Beautiful World. I think gone are the days of The Crane Wife and Picturesque, and that's fine. I know that we're coming into the later career of the Decemberists, and I don't think they're going to try to reinvent themselves to the extent that they had done earlier in their career. I don't think we're going to get another Hazards of Love. I don't think we're going to get another The King is Dead. What we're probably going to get from here on in are albums like this. It's a mishmash of different techniques and different styles. Maybe there will be a little bit of an experimentation, but for the most part, I have a feeling they're going to be playing it safe from here on in. And that's fine. I mean, this guy was fine. It was serviceable. I put it on. I enjoyed it. I didn't dislike any of the tracks. And I've got to say, this is a great album to download. It's one that you'll want to have on your computer or whatever device it is that you're listening to. I know they'll want you to have it on physical format. That's not my rating. I know I want to pick it up on physical format because that's the way that this has been meant to be listened to, probably on a turntable. But yeah, just download it. That's probably the best rating for me. But really, that's about it for me from I'll Be Your Girl by the Decemberists. What did you guys think? How does it stack up to the rest of their discography? Is it a improvement from their sound, or are they playing it way too safe? Let me know of your own thoughts by commenting down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, you guys are definitely the best. And until next time, notes out.